All right, Laurie, let's play the video. Okay, so little rough start. That's okay. Um, it's funny for some reason. I mean, I know the reason. It was a long day. This seems to happen probably more often than not at the classes we do. We're trying to feed you people all this information. At the end of the day, the class or the stage comes up and people seem to sort of fall apart a little bit. Um, so I'm not going to try to pick on you too much, but I'll point out some stuff. So right off the jump, just look at your feet. So what's that about, right? On the draw, if that's going to be your shooting stance, you might as well have started with your feet in that stance, because you move your foot as you draw, and then you kind of have a little bit of happy feet here. Your body is sort of moving the entire time. If you look, your initial draw, your knees are bent, and at every shot you take, you move a little bit. So you're standing up. So not only, are you trying to aim, line up your sights on this pretty small target, but your body's moving. So the sights and the gun are going to move the whole time. Watch you start to straighten up, more straight, and then you wiggle a little bit more, and you finally get it. So, in that situation, it's a tough shot, but you're making it a little tougher on yourself, especially as you're changing your body position there. And then at this point, what you kind of it's tough. What you have to think about is, okay, your initial plan was probably to shoot 9 shots. So if you shot, what was that? 5 or 6 shots at the first target, you need to reload right away to get back on your plan. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to go empty in the middle of this array. You're going to have to do a slide lock reload, and then it's just snowballing from there. So, on any time you have a plan in production where you're going to shoot, 9, 10, 11 rounds, if you shoot those makeups early on in that plan, at the end you're going to go empty. So you need to realize that and address the reload as soon as you can. So if you had reloaded after the plate, you could have still stayed on your same plan, reloaded, the second time in the initial situation where you would have planned, during your walkthrough, and then the rest of the stage would have went pretty smoothly. Here, we get ourselves in trouble because you go empty, I think, here. Yeah, we go empty here, so we have to stop because we're still shooting at this guy. And then what I'd like to see here, you'd notice after you shoot this target, your hands compress and the gun comes in, and then right here the gun should be at full extension at eye level, and if you can't see the target yet, you're about to be able to see it. So you should be aiming and almost prepping the trigger at this point, so that as soon as it becomes available, if you can see it from here, too far back. If you could see it from where we just showed, you can probably see it from here. You're on the same angle, so you could probably see it now, but you're not engaging it until now. And then you have a little bit of a situation here with some happy feet. Just think about if you could shoot this stage in the minimal amount of positions, how would you do that? Right? So you had your first position, and then the 3 targets on the right that you shot on the move, and you have to come here to shoot this one. Then you move over to shoot the heads. Then you had to come here. So that's 3 targets, 3 positions just to shoot this barrel target, the head, and then this one. And then another position over here. So it ended up being, I don't know if you'd call that 5 or 6 positions for the entire stage. And you actually do a little bit of a happy feet situation here where you're not you're not really in the final position because you can't see this target. You have to lean. So if you could plan this and do this again, ideally, you'd want to finish in a spot where you can easily see these last three targets. So that's probably either a little further back or a little bit further against this stick. So in your walkthrough, if you can identify, where do I want to finish the stage? Okay, it might be my left foot on this tip of this piece of wood, or there's a little rock right under your right foot. I don't think we can see it yet. Let's see if we can find it if we rewind a little bit. This rock here, if you had your right foot like a foot behind that, you could also see the targets all on the left. But you end up coming sort of standing right on it. So you end up losing this target behind the no-shoot, which is why we put the no-shoot like that on purpose. But that's just, sort of a pre-planning thing to recognize that at the walkthrough stage and then decide, okay, where am I going to go so I can see all three of these targets. Now, what we sort of identified and what a lot of people did is they came to this position and they realized they could see this, 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 and the target behind the blue barrel, all from basically this position, probably this position here, a little further back. And then that eliminates that happy feet situation you had where you're kind of hopping and skipping, at the barrel situation, because this, every position you add adds time to the stage. So ideally, you could have shot this target here and then sprinted to the corner where you ended and then finished everything. You can see this target from the end where you finished. So in that case, you'd be cutting out two positions. You'd be cutting out the position you shot the headshot from, and you'd be cutting out this position. So every stop, every start, every position is adding probably at least a second, maybe 2 seconds, depending on if you're completely stopping or kind of shooting on the move or rolling through. So for you here, you stop here, and then it takes you 1.7 seconds to engage the head, which, it's a tough shot, so there's going to be more aiming time there. But you also had to move your feet and get into position. And then here, to get to this target, which is a wide open cardboard target, it takes you another almost 2 seconds to get your body into position, to shoot that one. So if you could cut out those two positions, maybe that's like 3 to 4 seconds that you're eliminating, and then you could just shoot them all from here. That ability to cut out that extra stop and start is really going to improve your time. So let's watch your second run. Good, much, much, much better. So, a couple minor things. Probably most of them related to sort of stage planning and sort of stage, I guess we'll call it rehearsal situation, memorization basically. So, you shoot the steel, first shot, awesome. 2.15 for the shot. It's not too bad. I mean, for me, I'd probably be looking at, a second and a half for myself on that one, so just over 2 isn't bad at all. Then you sprint to this spot, you take your hand off the gun. That's okay if you're going to be sprinting a longer distance and get yourself moving. And then you kind of do this, put on the brakes, and do a hard stop and shoot this target from a little further away than you really had to. So I think ideally we'd be shooting this target from up here, make it a little easier on yourself because you're closer to the target, and get a little bit more movement under your, get a little bit more movement out of the way, because you have to get up here to the barrel to shoot this target, and you have to get to the end. So, if every stage has a start line and a finish line, ideally you want to be moving towards that finish line at all times if you can. So that stop wasn't really necessary, but that's okay. You pick it up here on the move. Here, just like the last time, you kind of compress the gun a little bit, where you could probably be aiming through the sights already at this point, but I like your movement. You do move pretty aggressively when it's time to go. So here, yep, so now the gun is out. Should be probably at full extension here, aiming. And again, I think we do another hard stop here. Yeah, so that's an open paper target behind this barrel. It'd be nice to kind of take a wider turn and just shoot this guy on the move and then go to the final spot. So you do what I talked about in the last video, which is run to the final spot, get your load done, and shoot everything from this position, which is awesome. But I want you to look at your gun and the path it takes between all the targets. Whoop. Whoop. So I hope you recognize my sound effects, but so what you want to do here, point your gun at this target, immediately bring the gun over here, immediately bring the gun over here, immediately to the head, and immediately to the finish. You kind of do a little thing where you're going whoop, whoop, and the gun drops as you go to the next target. What I think part of that is you're not 100% confident in where you're going next. So you sort of lower the gun to look over the gun to see where you're going. So that's really something that you want to work on during the walkthrough. So in the walkthrough, you want to come to this position. Really, most of the people in the class should have been kind of pushing each other over to get into this position during the walkthrough and sort of practice what you're doing right now. Sort of that timing between all the targets, where the targets are, where to look, and where to move the gun. So what that is you're not really moving your head ahead of the gun. I think you can see it here. Yeah, so you want to get your head, once you shoot this target, your head should turn and immediately pick up the next target, and then the gun will follow. But the gun should stay on this plane at eye level the entire time. All the targets are at the same height at eye level. There's no reason to ever drop it down and do that little dip. Every little, dip like that, if that takes, it takes at least 1/10 of a second to do that. It probably is more than that. It's probably closer to 2/10. So if you have 2/10 in between each target, you're a second behind just on transitions, really for no reason. So if we can cut that out, you pick up a second right away. So we do the head here, and then I think, again, you sort of lose track of what you're supposed to be doing. Oh, there you go. Like you sort of, it looks to me like you weren't really sure where to go next. There you go. And you find the last target and you're done. So that, and I think you saved, I don't know, 15 seconds faster on your second run. And 21 seconds is a pretty darn good time. It's just, I think, a matter of, really burning that in during the walkthrough, and that'll really help in match situations too, where if you have 100% confidence in what you're out there to do, what you're planning to do, what you're doing next, it really helps. It helps, obviously helps your stage time and everything like that, but it helps your confidence on the stage. Just this last little section, it looks like, to me, you're just a little bit not 100% confident in that. And that translates into time on the clock, and probably translates into less than ideal hits in certain situations if you're not 100% sure what you're out there, what targets you're going to next, how fast you're going to engage them until you get there, stuff like that. But definitely a huge improvement on your second run. You definitely adjusted your plan pretty much the way that we would like to see everybody do. And your shooting was much cleaner. Obviously, that draw to the plate in 2 seconds is awesome. So just keep it up, work on stage planning, and I think you got it.